Hi, welcome to Juliana's Kitchen. Today on the menu, we are going to turn these into these banana chocolate chip muffins with some extra things to make them full of protein and goodness. So if you like the sounds of that, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get cooking. For a dozen muffins, we're going to start with 2 bananas. And you can do this with, regular bananas. But most of us always have these ones that are a day or 2 old that we don't really want to eat, but they'd be really good for muffins. I like to mash them in a plate. It just makes it easier to transport them. And 2 bananas should give you about a cup of mashed banana. It doesn't have to be a perfectly creamy puree. Just mash it so it's about the consistency of like oatmeal. Okay, like that. Let's get our oven preheated to 350 and we'll start mixing the muffins. So you'll need a large bowl and you want to cream 1/3 cup of butter. And to that we're going to add 3/4 cup of brown sugar. And we want to mix that in nicely as well so that it's nice and creamed. Or as creamy as you can actually get it when there's that much sugar versus that much butter. So like that. And then we want to add to this mixture our mashed banana. Stir that up some more. And then we want to add 2 eggs. And again, stir that up. These are super fast and simple. Did I mention that? Okay, so more liquid here. We want to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to add some salt. Just give it a quick stir. We want to add a teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So we'll mix that all up. And then we want to have 1.5 cups of flour ready in our sifter and a 1/2 cup of milk. We're going to add those alternately, starting with the dry ingredients. So we're going to start with the dry flour, the dry ingredients, and we want to put about 1/3 of that in there and mix it well till it's all blended before we add the milk. This just helps make the batter get nice and creamy versus how it can get a little separated sometimes. This just helps keep it creamy. All right, so let's add 1/2 the milk and stir it up again. Doesn't take very long, as you can see. And then another 1/3 of the dry. And mix that up. And then we'll add the last of the milk and some good things. Okay, so last of the milk. Actually, I lied. We got to end with dry ingredients too. So you could just do flour, all the milk, and flour if you want. That's a little faster even. The idea is you start with dry ingredients and end with dry ingredients. So that's the last of my flour. And then I like to add some hemp seeds, 1/4 cup of hemp seeds, because it gives it a little bit extra protein. And I think it actually adds a touch of moisture to the muffins as well. And if you want them to have even more protein and flavor, add some nuts. And this is my favorite hack. I'm going to use walnuts, and I'm using 2/3 of a cup. And as you saw, it's a little bit fuller. Put it in a Ziploc baggie like this. And then just hit them up with your rolling pin or your hand, even if you're having a really bad day. And if you are allergic to nuts, you can always use sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. This is one of my favorite hacks for chopping nuts though, because when you use a knife, they go flying all over the cutting board. This way they're nice and contained. Let's add those nuts. And then let's add the best part, chocolate chips. You can add exactly 1 cup, but this package that is 225 grams is about 1.25 cups. So you can add the whole thing if you want, or you know, maybe the chef has to eat a few chocolate chips while she's at it, or he's at it. Okay, so we're gonna mix that in and put them in the muffin tins and get them baking. So you wanna just lightly grease your muffin tins. And then we're going to fill each tin about 2/3 to 3/4 full. These are quick and easy, perfect little snacks for kids after school or in your lunch, or for us big kids who need a tasty coffee break with a little bit of nutrition and treat combined all in one. So these are going to go in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes at 350, and then we'll do the toothpick test to make sure they're done. I'll show you. So these have been in for 22 minutes, and this is how you check them. You insert a toothpick, and when it comes out nice and clean, except for maybe a little chocolate, then you know they're done. If we let them cool for about 10 minutes, they're easier to get out of the pan. You just actually go give them a little twist, or if they're a little ornery, you can give them a wiggle and a twist, and they come out no problem. So if you liked this recipe and cooking with me, and you want some more delicious everyday kind of muffins that we can enjoy, please subscribe, hit that like button, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for stopping by Juliana's Kitchen. Have a great day.